claimed often is, did you know that modern discoveries in archaeology contradict the Bible? Do modern discoveries in archaeology contradict the Bible? No, they don't. In fact, there's thousands upon thousands of pieces of evidence that confirm the Bible. Here's a scholar who's dug up over 1,500 sites, an archaeologist. Look what he says. No archaeological discovery has ever controverted a single biblical reference. Scores of archaeological findings have been made which confirm clear outline or exact detail historical statements in the Bible. And by the same token, proper evaluation of biblical descriptions. Now look at this last phrase. Has often led to amazing discoveries. What is he saying? Not only have archaeological discoveries confirmed the historical accounts in the Bible, but scholars have often used the Bible itself to find things. So I told you, like, there's a little bit of truth in every, deceptive argument. So then if that's true, where is this deception coming from? It's coming from an argument called the argument of silence. And the argument of silence is this. When there isn't a piece of hard evidence, a scholar might go, that means it didn't happen. Now, hold on, give me a second here. It's called an argument of silence. It's a false intellectual argument. So, for example, for decades, there were scholars who said you can't trust the Bible because there's some major events and major names that there's no archaeological evidence for. They don't say in that same breath that archaeology is only 250 years old, that we've only started digging up stuff. And they don't say in the same breath that there's 10 to 20,000 major discoveries that confirm the Bible, but still, okay, fine. So Isaiah chapter 20, for example, mentions King Sargon of Assyria. The Assyrian Empire was a predominant empire in that time period in the 8th century BC, and then the Babylonian Empire. And we just know so much about the Assyrian Empire because they wrote so much. They had all kinds of scholars, just like the Babylonian Empire. And there is no mention of Sargon. Yet Isaiah 20 has this major event of King Sargon of Syria. So scholars are like, you can't trust the Bible, there's no Sargon. Argument of silence. Of course, until Sargon's palace was discovered in Carlsbad, Iraq. And it just so happened the events of Isaiah chapter 20 were written on the walls of his palace. And then the events in Isaiah 20 have to do with the city of Ashdod. And it just so happens that then they dug up a stela, which is a stone that's a memorial stone that talks about a significant event. And Sargon's mentioned in that stela stone and actually mentions the events that happened in Isaiah chapter 20. You know what the key to the intellectual fallacy, the argument of silence, is? Okay, there's not hard biblical evidence for the existence of Sargon yet, but guess what happens? People keep digging stuff up that confirms the Bible. Did you know that until 1993, there were many scholars who argued that King David was a mythological figure and never existed? What do you think happened in 1993? Yeah, they dug something up. And it's called the Tel Dan stone. I've seen this stone many times in the Israeli museum and just like sat there because it's such a big deal. And it was discovered and it was dated by scholars, by non-Christian scholars, non-biblical scholars, right in the 900s BC, right after King David lived. And guess what it says on it? It says, King David of the house of Israel. And more King David stuff has been discovered since then. Even the foundations of Solomon's palace, all kinds of things. The old or the new argument